Baby, buckle up. Grab your wine. Grab your popcorn. Grab whoever is standing next to you. Because what just landed inside a Los Angeles courthouse this week is the kind of thing that ends careers, cancels endorsements, and makes an entire football league sit up straight in its chair. Stefon Diggs. Yes, that's Stefon Diggs. The Pro Bowl wide receiver. The face on the poster. The man they used to sell jerseys and sneakers and Sunday tickets. He is now sitting in the middle of a legal nightmare so ugly, so detailed, so absolutely soaked in receipts, that I promise you by the time we get to the end of this video you are going to be asking yourself one very simple question. How on God's green earth did this man think he was going to get away with it? Because church, the paperwork is out. The messages are out. Over 100 pages, honey. And that is just what has been handed to the judge so far. Now sit tight, because before we get into the actual claims, before we get into the alleged assault, the alleged robbery, the alleged bedroom moment that has half the internet screaming and the other half in shock, we need to talk about how we even got here. And I promise you, once you hear the whole timeline, you're going to see exactly why Summer Walker just quietly pressed that little repost button, why Cardi B is being pulled into this online, whether she likes it or not, and why a football team full of grown men allegedly, one by one, said the exact same name when they were asked which of their teammates they would never trust around their sister. Yes, that name. Stefon Diggs. Let me set the scene for you. A man named Christopher Griffith. Regular last name, regular guy, no NFL contract, no marketing team, no PR machine standing behind him. Christopher walks into a courtroom and files a lawsuit. And baby, when I tell you this lawsuit is not shy, I mean this lawsuit is a whole diary with a bow on it. Christopher says that he was hanging out at Stefon Diggs' home. He says everything was normal until it wasn't. He says he was allegedly drugged. He says Stefon Diggs then exposed himself, began touching himself, and motioned for Christopher to do the same. Christopher says he told Stefon Diggs to put it away. Christopher says the man then tried to kiss him. Christopher says he moved his face and dodged the kiss. And then, according to the filing, Stefon Diggs allegedly placed his tongue inside Christopher's ear, in a kissing manner, and whispered for Christopher to come to his bedroom. Now if your jaw is on the floor right now, I need you to pick it up, because that is not even the wildest part. Because after that alleged night, Christopher says a whole other chapter kicked off. A chapter that allegedly involves a robbery, a beatdown, and an apartment complex in Los Angeles that Stefon Diggs' brother is tied to. Yes, the brother. Derez. That is the name that keeps popping up in these documents like a jump scare in a horror movie. Christopher says the beatdown was not random. Christopher says the beatdown was allegedly ordered as a warning. A warning to keep his mouth shut about what allegedly happened between him and Stefon Diggs behind that bedroom door. Now hold on, because I know some of y'all are already typing in the comments. I know somebody is about to say, wait, is this just some random person trying to get a check off a rich athlete? I hear you. I do. I always hear you. But here is the twist that is going to make you sit down and pour a second glass. Christopher was suing for $10 million total. $10 million. He split the lawsuit into two lanes. One lane was the wide receiver himself for the alleged assault. The other lane was Stefon Diggs' brother Derez, plus the Los Angeles apartment complex where the alleged robbery and beatdown went down. And guess what just happened this week? Christopher and Derez and the apartment complex quietly settled. Quietly. No press conference. No public number. No handshaking on TMZ. Just a settlement. Now the classic rule in these lawsuits is simple. You sue for the stars, and you settle somewhere in the middle. So if a man sues you for $10 million, and you turn around and pay to make him go away, common sense tells you the number that changed hands is not zero. Common sense tells you that number probably lives somewhere between $1 and $5 million. And baby, people do not write checks that fat unless there is something on the table worth burying. Now I want you to sit with that for a second. Because that settlement, that little quiet handshake behind closed doors, is the moment this whole story stopped being a rumor and started being a receipt. Because if the robbery and beatdown claim was truly nonsense, if it was truly a shakedown, why on earth would his own brother settle it? Why would the apartment complex settle it? Why not fight it in open court, publicly humiliate the accuser, and walk out with your name washed clean? That is what innocent people usually do. Innocent people do not typically pay to make robbery accusations disappear. And that is why the internet, church, is not letting this one go. Because in the minds of a whole lot of people out there, that settlement just quietly gave a little bit of credibility to everything else Christopher has been saying, including the assault claim against Stefon Diggs himself, which, by the way, is still going. That one did not settle. That one is still very much alive. And that is the fire that is about to burn the whole thing down. And if you really want to sit with the weight of what is happening, remember this. Stefon Diggs is not some backup player nobody has ever heard of. He is one of the most recognizable receivers in the game. He has been paid tens of millions of dollars in NFL contracts. He has walked red carpets. He has sat courtside. He has been on your television during every Sunday of every fall for years. And now Stefon Diggs is one leaked page away from becoming the biggest cautionary tale of this entire decade. The stakes are that big. The exposure is that deep. And that is exactly why every legal analyst online has been telling their followers to keep their eyes glued to this docket. Because when a case involves this much money, this much fame, this much alleged evidence, and this many named parties, the fallout does not stay in one lane. The fallout spills into everything. Into contracts, into endorsements, into locker rooms, into other players' careers, because you already know if messages leak, other names might be in those messages. And that is when a story stops being about one man and starts being about an entire industry. Now let me tell you what dropped in court just days ago, because this is where it gets absolutely wild. Christopher's legal team submitted over 100 pages of communications between the two men. 100 pages. Text messages, direct messages, screenshots, allegedly all of it. Now the defense team came back and said no ma'am, that is not all the communications. They filed a motion basically arguing that Christopher did not submit every conversation between the two of them. They are saying that without the missing messages, you cannot see the full context of what was really being said back and forth. And the defense went even further. They said Stefon Diggs cannot even access his own old messages because Christopher allegedly blocked him on Instagram. So now the man cannot open the conversation to prove or disprove anything. But Christopher's side clapped right back and said, honey, we already gave you more than 100 pages, and anything else that exists between you two, you have just as much access to it as we do. This is the polite courtroom version of him saying it's giving desperation. And I have to say, once messages start hitting court filings, it is only a matter of time. It is only a hop, a skip, and a jump before some of those DMs leak out to the press. And when they do, this internet is going to eat him alive. Now let me tell you why the internet is already primed and ready. Because this was not the first time his name got dragged into something like this. Some of y'all may not remember it, but there was a locker room moment, an interview that has never left the timeline. A camera was going around his own football team, asking his own teammates, live on the record, one very specific question. Which player on this team would you not want dating your sister? And baby, I want you to hear me clearly. Every last one of them, one by one, according to the internet's memory of that clip, said the exact same name. Stefon Diggs. His own team. His own locker room. His own guys. Not one voice defended him. Not one man said, oh no, not Steph. Y'all are wrong about him. Not a single one. And you know what people are saying now? People are saying maybe the locker room knew something the rest of us did not. Maybe the locker room saw something the cameras never caught. Because when your own teammates cannot even joke that you would be a safe pick for their sister, that is not shade. That is a smoke signal. That is a red flag flying at full mast. And that brings us right to the Cardi B piece of this whole thing, because this is where the pot gets stirred with a wooden spoon. See, over on social media, Summer Walker, yes, Summer Walker of I Love You It's Whatever fame, decided to press repost on a video that basically laid out this whole Stefon Diggs situation. The video breaks it all down. It talks about him allegedly moving through a long list of women. It talks about the multiple mothers of his kids. It talks about the allegation that when things did not go the way he wanted with women, he allegedly tested the waters on the other side. And when that did not land the way he was hoping either, he allegedly got violent. And baby, in the middle of that repost, was a very pointed line about Cardi B. Because the woman in the video, in her own words, essentially said Stefon Diggs has moved through so many women that at this point it feels like he has been near everybody. She specifically joked that he had gotten to the level of Mama Cardi B. She said she cannot name every woman on the list, but the number is not small. And when that landed, when Summer Walker pressed repost, the timeline exploded. Because the message being sent was clear. Whether Summer meant to send it or not. Whether it was intentional or accidental. This is not the first time she has thrown a little digital shade in Stefon Diggs' direction. Just a week or two before this, Summer Walker had reposted a Cardi B moment where somebody praised Cardi as such a dream and said that any man who fumbles her deserves the little rainbow flag next to his name. Cardi B saw that, and Cardi B tagged Summer Walker and wrote, "Oh my God, this is the sweetest thing ever. Love you always." So there is clearly a bond. There is clearly a wink. And now this new repost, sitting up on Summer's page for over 24 hours with no delete button in sight, is telling us that this was not a slip of the finger. This was on purpose. And Cardi B and Stefon Diggs and Summer Walker are now in a triangle that the internet is not going to let out of its sight. Now let me pause right here, because I know exactly what some of y'all are thinking. You are thinking, okay, but where is Cardi in all of this? And this is the beautiful part. Cardi B has already spoken this week. Not about Stefon Diggs directly, but about her own children. Somebody tried to come for her online with the tired old take that it is obvious which of her babies is her favorite. Somebody posted her daughter Blossom and basically said the answer is right there in the pictures. Cardi B, being Cardi B, came underneath that post herself and said in her own words, "I do not have a favorite child, cut that." And she was right to shut it down. Because this is not the first time people have tried to press this narrative on her. It happened just a couple of weeks ago too. Somebody else posted Blossom with the exact same theory, that Cardi B favors Blossom over the rest. And the truth is, if you actually look at Cardi B's social media, that is not what the receipts show. Cardi B posts wave. Cardi B posts culture. Cardi B posts Blossom. The only baby Cardi B does not put on the timeline as of right now is baby touchdown. And that is only because Cardi B has always waited until her babies hit about a year old before revealing their little faces to the public. That is her rhythm. That is her routine. That is her rule. And she has held that line for every single one of her children. So the idea that she has some secret favorite is a story people made up because they needed content. But Cardi B is not standing for it, and I love that for her. Because that woman is out here raising 4 babies, running a career, defending her name, and she still had time to hit the block button on internet nonsense. That is called protecting your peace. And this is where I need you to lock in with me, because it is not a coincidence that Cardi B, Summer Walker, Blueface, Christian Rock, and Stefon Diggs are all trending in the same week. This is what a full-blown celebrity culture reset looks like. The old game was, you cheat, you lie, you sneak around, and if you have enough money, enough lawyers, enough publicists, it all gets buried by Monday morning. That game is dead. That game is finished. The new game is the internet finds out on Friday, the receipts drop on Saturday, the lawsuits get filed on Monday, and by Tuesday your entire brand deal is under review. And Stefon Diggs is finding out in real time what that new game feels like. And once one domino falls, they all fall. So do not be surprised in a week, 2 weeks, a month, if more names attached to Stefon Diggs start whispering. Do not be surprised if more women, more men, more former friends start showing up with their own screenshots. Because that is what happens when a case this big becomes this public. People come out of the woodwork. They always do. Now here is where the storylines start braiding together. Because if you zoom out just a little bit, this whole moment we are watching, the Stefon Diggs lawsuit, the Summer Walker repost, the Cardi B favorite child rumor, and even the Blueface and Christian Rock mess we are about to get into, they are all pointing at one single truth about celebrity culture in 2026. Every single receipt is being kept. Every text, every DM, every locker room whisper, every party photo, every hotel key card. And when it comes time for the truth to fall out, it does not just fall out. It comes crashing out in a 100-page court filing with your entire life stapled to it. There is no more sweeping things under the rug. Not when the internet has infinite memory and infinite screenshots. And Stefon Diggs, whether he wants to admit it or not, just walked straight into that reality. Speaking of falling out messy, let us take a hard pivot to Blueface, because this man is not letting anyone else have the front page. Christian Rock, mother of Blueface's youngest son, has been calling Blueface out for weeks now for not showing up. She has been posting videos begging him to spend time with their kids. And this has been happening right after Blueface publicly exposed Christian for allegedly sleeping with his ex-manager. Now to be very fair, Christian has already said the reason that even happened is because Blueface had already crossed the line first. According to her, she found out that Blueface had allegedly slept with her best friend, who also happened to be the same manager's baby mother. So it was tit for tat. It was petty for petty. And it exploded on the internet the way these things always do. But now the picture is bigger, because in a recent live stream Blueface was seen on Twitch, and a random little boy, the son of another woman in his orbit, walked up to him on camera and asked innocently, "Do you have any kids? Can I play with your kids?" The camera catches Blueface just kind of blinking at the child. And what struck the internet is that this little baby had no idea Blueface already has other children out there. None. Not one clue. When your own kids are famous enough to be trending on Twitter, and a child living inside your world does not even know they exist, that says everything without saying a word. And to make it even more surreal, Blueface then said out loud that Christian's children with him were his so-called bonus kids. Bonus kids. Baby. That is not a compliment. That is a demotion. That is a man distancing himself in real time. And that is why so many people online are saying, hold on. Christian, you cannot go too hard on this man for not showing up, because he already did the exact same thing to his firstborn son Javon. This is a pattern. This is a signature. And when a man shows you a pattern, you have to believe him. Now I want to bring you all the way back around, because when it comes to Stefon Diggs, this settlement with his brother Derez may not stay quiet for long. Legal experts online are already saying, once one lawsuit involving the same defendant is settled, the pressure on the remaining lawsuit gets very, very heavy. Because the settled case, even if the number stays sealed, tells the world that somebody was willing to pay to make part of this go away. And that changes the pressure in the room. That changes how juries perceive things. That changes how sponsors read press releases. And that is why I keep telling you, this thing is not over. This thing is just getting started. Christopher's assault case against Stefon Diggs directly is still very much moving. The motions are still flying. The filings are still stacking. And once these text messages start leaking, and you know they will, because they always do, that is when the real season finale hits. And here is the piece nobody is talking about yet. Whatever is inside those 100 pages of messages, if there is even one line where Stefon Diggs allegedly confirms the tone, the vibe, the flirtation, the alleged invitation into that bedroom, in his own words, in his own DMs, this whole thing collapses. Because a jury does not care about interviews. A jury does not care about locker room jokes. A jury does not even care about your endorsement portfolio. A jury cares about your words. And in the year 2026, your words live in the cloud forever. And with over 100 pages of them now sitting inside a Los Angeles court file, we are truly one leak away from Stefon Diggs' entire life being turned inside out on live TV. And if I am being honest with you, and you know I always keep it honest on this channel, the strangest part of this whole Stefon Diggs situation is not the alleged assault. It is not the alleged robbery. It is not even the settlement with Derez. The strangest part is how quiet Stefon Diggs himself has been through all of this. No press release. No emotional Instagram statement. No sit-down interview trying to clear the air. No teammate coming forward to publicly ride for him. That silence is loud. That silence is heavy. That silence is telling. Because most of the time when a superstar of Stefon Diggs' caliber gets accused of something this serious, the machine kicks in. The PR team writes the note. The manager gets on the phone. The teammates post the heart emoji under his last picture. But this time, nothing. And when the machine does not move, the machine is usually reading the same messages we do not have access to yet, and the machine is scared of what is inside them. Now I want to hear from you. Because you know your voice is what powers this whole conversation. So drop it in the comments below. Do you think Stefon Diggs' brother settling that lawsuit gives real credibility to Christopher's story about the alleged bedroom incident with Stefon Diggs? Or do you think Derez just settled to make the noise stop so his own life could keep moving? Do you believe Summer Walker's repost was accidental? Or do you think Summer knows something about Stefon Diggs that the rest of us have not caught up to yet? And do you believe Cardi B when she says she does not have a favorite child? Or do you think the internet has been reading too much into her posts? Tell me everything. I read every single comment. And baby, if you thought this one was crazy, wait until you see what is dropping next, because I have another one loaded up for you, and it is going to have you screaming. So go ahead, tap into that next video right now, because the story of Stefon Diggs, Christopher Griffith, Summer Walker, Cardi B, and everybody being pulled into this hurricane is only halfway told. And the second half, I promise you, is where the wheels really come off. Stay right here with me. I will see you in the next one.